Support. Curtis Fleming is there on the edge of the area. Fleming for Craig Hignett. Hit it, Higgy. Higgy hits the treble!
Avenelli coming alive again. Juninho wants the ball played to him. Avenelli spots out Emerson!
Hello and welcome to the Boro Breakdown podcast with Jonny, Dana and Matt. We're the Boro podcast that gives you all of your Boro match day chatter in a podcast. And well, Boro drew 2-2 against Portsmouth, courtesy of Matt Clark and Tommy Conway. Tom's bet came off eventually after 2 games, or 3 games, or 4 games, 5 games, 6 games. It came off. And then Boro are currently 9th in the championship table. Dana, Matt, key takeouts as always. Dana, do you want to go first? What was key takeout?
You know what? My key takeout is actually for just the league games that we've seen so far, the 3 league games. Our decision making is really poor, like really poor. And I'm not just meaning this in regards to the goals that we've conceded. I think they're the biggest examples of that. Jones against Derby, Jones against Swansea, to be fair, not passing to Bergzorg, and then today against Portsmouth, the 2 goals that we conceded came about because of poor decision making, but also it is going forward. It's when we are in good positions, players aren't picking out the right pass. Sometimes they're shooting instead of laying the ball off, then maybe not passing the ball quick enough. We get into some good areas. We don't maximize our opportunity to actually convert those chances or those opportunities into goals, because ultimately the fall down factor is that our decision making is pretty poor. So yeah, the key takeout from today's game against Portsmouth, but also the 3 league games that we've seen so far, is that Boro's decision making is poor and it needs to improve.
And Matt, what was your key takeout? Were you on the same lines there?
Yeah, I think you look at the dominance we've had territory wise going forward, the number of shots we've had. It's in both boxes, isn't it? At the end of the day, where games are being decided one way or another, and it's eerily similar to last season in terms of the holy trinity of Boro games, in terms of battering the opposition, dominating, conceding really stupid opportunities, and gifting the opposition points. So I'm in a weird place where I'm trying really hard to not overreact and get too frustrated by what I'm seeing, because the law of averages would suggest that if things just even out ever so slightly, we should be putting a few past teams. And if we cut out these daft errors, we're not giving teams anything. So I'm sort of weirdly optimistic that once things click, we should be okay, and we should be actually pretty good. But it's hard to not get annoyed that the same things are happening as they did last season. And I just look at us and I think we must be the most frustrating football club to watch on planet Earth, surely. So someone else bring me a case that's stronger than ours, please. I'd love to hear it.
Oh, be a few, I reckon. Probably Everton could be up there, I want to say. I'm going to give you an Everton. That could be a frustrating one. But for me, if we were kind of combine both your points in one of my key takeouts, if a game was won in the middle of the pitch, we'd win every single game because we dominate the middle part. It's just the boxes that we're struggling with. And, we can play through the lines really well. We're good in possession. We get in some good areas. We're doing all the great things. But somehow, somewhere, we just don't like to score goals, which is crazy, to be honest, given the amount of chances that we do create. It's just the takeout, really, that we need to think of, really. Just think of, okay, well, we're doing all the right things. That's normally the hardest part in football, and then we just need to put it away, and we've got the quality that we should really be doing that, but it's just not happening. But let's assess the Portsmouth game then, because it started off horrendously. We got back into it. Then we gave away a calamitous second goal, and then we had plenty of chances and could barely score. And then we eventually equalised through a penalty. But then, what was your overall assessment of the game? Frustrations, I'm going to say. Frustrations, happiness, joy, good, bad. What are you thinking?
It was frustrating, but the type of frustrating that etches into infuriating because you mix it with anger. I just so desperately wanted somebody to just twat it one in the top corner towards the end of the game, because that would have just been the overspill of that frustration and just channeling it in the best possible way and winning the game in the end, and it never happened. But to scale it back a little bit, Boro, they did dominate the match in terms of possession, in terms of that momentum, but ultimately, again, much like last season, we massively shot ourselves in the foot by gifting Portsmouth 2 goals. The first one was Lukas Engel overcommitting himself, then the defence is stretched and their striker has too much room in the box to be able to convert that chance. The second one is just a complete mix-up between Clark and Senny Dieng. Somebody has to take responsibility over that situation. And then again, same striker has the exact same gift from Boro. We are so giving to opposition teams, it's ridiculous. But on the balance of play, and John Musinho said it after the game, on the balance of play, Boro should have won that game. Like, they deserve to win it. We had so many opportunities. We had so many opportunities to create chances. And this is the thing, like, I can sit here and say that Boro create chances, but what's really frustrating is that we have the chance to create more chances, but it goes back to what I was saying in that key takeout. Our decision making is really poor. Individuals probably trying too hard for themselves. Sometimes I see, like, just Bergslog, for example, shooting all the time and all the time it getting blocked. Pass the ball. And him and Azaz chopping inside all the time is doing my nutting. I know that it's like part of their stylistic profile. It's something that they like to do, but it's such a hindrance, I think, because it delays it, it stops the ball from being played in good areas where Boro, I think, can definitely maximise their opportunity to score a goal. But yeah, I mean, when we conceded that first one, I think it was, I thought we reacted to it pretty well. Like, we got back on the horse. I think we put some really good balls into the box. Nobody gambled on them, which was another point of frustration in the end. And then we concede that second goal, and we wobbled for that a little bit, I think. And then that second half was Boro trying so desperately to get back into the game and to try to level the scoreline. And it took until, what was it, the 89th minute, I think, we got that penalty for that to happen. That's so annoying. It's really frustrating that we can have that much possession, that much threat, that much intention to score, and it takes so long for us to do that. 7 minutes added on at the end as well. It probably takes us about 7 minutes to craft an attack sometimes. So I didn't expect anything to happen from there. It's frustrating. I know I sound frustrated and I sound very probably negative. It's not panic stations at all, but judging the game in isolation, it was one of those really, really frustrating afternoons. Ultimately, it's just not good enough, really. We've got to be trying to get 3 points at the Riverside against any team that we come up against, and yeah, it just feels really frustrating that we haven't managed to do that.
I was going to say, my next question for Matt was, were Boro unfortunate not to win the game with the chances they created? I mean, are you frustrated that we haven't won the game either?
I think you could say we are unlucky, but then equally, it's all on ourselves. We've not been beaten by the opposition again. We've beaten ourselves, and to start as badly as we did, I was actually really happy with how we reacted. And when we got back into it pretty quickly, I thought, right, reset now. Let's just get on with it. Like, we've had a bit of a wobble. Let's just start like it's kickoff and keep going. And it's typical of Boro that we still find a way to still gift the opposition the foothold in the game. Like last week, we just couldn't get back into it full stop against Derby, and it was frustrating, but we actually did, and we did it quickly here. So we've gave ourselves a good chance at home to really get going again. And then for the individual moment of madness and a 10-minute spell, which was just absolutely just crazy, we hatched our worst enemy. And I really felt like I was watching Derby all over again in that second half. Granted, I think Carrick alluded to this, we were a little bit more dangerous in the box, I feel, in terms of we were getting into really good areas. We put some really good balls in, but essentially there was no one on the end of them, No one was in the right position. No one was gambling. I think you look at it, there's got to be a fundamental issue there, because for all the chances that we've had, I can't recall what it was last week, but this week we had 29 shots, only 7 on target. So 22 of them shots were not on target. You've got to question the decision making in them moments. So yeah, I think you look at it, 3 goals, 1 was from a corner, which is a shock in itself, to be honest, and 2 were penalties. You know, for all the possession and as I say, territory in the opposition's defensive third, we still aren't opening up that many ridiculously clear-cut chances. So a lot of it's on us. And we have got to improve. But I don't think it's a big improvement. I think it's just small things that we need to just tweak and refine. And I think it will make such a big difference. But obviously right now it's, you want to pull your hair out.
Well, Dana, like last year, we said that Boro could potentially be a set piece team. It's coming true just a year later, to be honest. So, we're visionaries.
Well, that's the positive.
Yeah,
that is the positive, isn't it? I'll never ever take for granted scoring a goal from a corner. So yeah, there is positives to take from the game. I thought Hackney was brilliant. I thought that we played some good stuff. Clark was excellent again, bar the mistake, which maybe you can knock quite a bit off his performance because that was costly. But yeah, there were positives to take. We are creating chances. And I've seen many Middlesbrough teams that have really struggled to do that. So yeah, you can definitely, that can be the springboard. But we said that last season as well, didn't we? So it's kind of like a little bit of deja vu, I guess, but not all terrible. It's just massively, I think that the overriding emotion in this game this afternoon, this evening, when we're recording this, is frustration, because I feel like Boro should be winning those games.
Yeah, normally I give you an evening to sit back, relax, and forget football existed. But I was just that eager to record tonight. I'm getting the full frustrations out on the table, to be honest. But you've both alluded to it in terms of Boro being the worst enemy, and I agree with it. I think it's definitely a valid point. It's been the same case probably over the last couple of seasons under Mike Carrick's definitely been probably one of the bad points of what's been a really good tenure so far. But defensively as a unit, at the start of Carrick's reign, and then maybe into last year as well, where we were saying defensively, Boro weren't really good enough until about March time. And then we've just seemed to have changed its tune. We became a lot more solid as a unit, but still see those individual errors. But how do you think Boro can get that out of the players? Because they just keep happening time and time again.
I don't honestly feel like there's much blame on Carrick for this. I think it is just individuals in moments doing really, really stupid things. I remember when we were chatting going into the season, we were looking at pre-season and how solid we looked then, and the clean sheets we were getting, albeit pre-season, they're still clean sheets. And we limited Swansea to absolutely nothing. And for all the possession Swansea had in that opening game, we were so good. And it leads as well, with all the attacking play they've got. So it's not like I guess the narrative was that we weren't a very good defensive team under Carrick, but I still believe we actually are pretty good. The numbers say we are. It is just individuals in moments. So I think it's just simply relying on these top players, keeping their concentration, communicating better. I think communication was a big thing with that second goal, especially. And you're looking at a different game. You're looking at a different game last week against Derby. You're looking at a different game here, and Boro could have 9 from 9, and we're singing our praises about an amazing start. So it's fine margins that we're on the wrong end of, and it's down to individuals, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think on the side of things, in terms of ironing stuff out as a unit, I think the silly mistakes in terms it can be all around the pitch, because I know Matt, you were saying there around going forward, but I think it comes from a leadership in the changing room as well, in terms of having a leader in all parts of your team. So from a defensive side of things, midfield and a forward, and someone who can come in and really slow things down. Because when I watch Boro go forward, we're too I don't know, it's feel like someone's just shaking a cage and saying, we're gonna have to create a chance. We've got to create a chance. But sometimes I just need someone to put the foot on the ball and really just slow it down and go, okay, move from side to side. And we might have to horseshoe it a little bit sometimes, but the ability to slow things down in those key moments will bring more clarity, I think, going forward, and stop the likes of Elaf just being too rash in front of goal. He just needs someone to slow himself down when he's running forward, because I feel like sometimes he runs too quick for his own brain to catch up, and then he doesn't know what to do, and then the next thing you know, it's in the keeper's hands, and then he's frustrated that he hasn't put the chance away. But in terms of a unit, I can't really complain about Boro in terms of defending their own box and being able to set up in a really good shape. I think that we don't give too much away. Last year was a bit of an anomaly to some aspects, because we were conceding really bad low XG chances where they were getting shots from miles up and going in top corner, where you can't really defend against. Well, you can do bits and pieces, but realistically, there's nothing stopping a shot from the gods going in top bins, is there really? But overall, I think it comes from just sometimes being no nonsense and having real clarity on the pitch. But Diana, I don't know if you have any more points to add on in terms of the silly mistakes aspect of it, or do you want me to move on?
No, I was going to say, I don't think we can generalize them and throw like a blanket statement on them. I think we've got to judge them individually. And like Jones against Derby, he needed to volley that ball back to Dieng, really. I think he caught the top of the ball rather than putting his foot through it. Are we surprised?
Nah.
No, unfortunately we're not. And then the Lukas Engel one, it did feel like it was a little bit of not a head loss, but a rush of blood from him to go straight in, because the way that, like, when you watch the goal back, the way that he steams in for that tackle, he gets absolutely nowhere near it.
Yeah,
Absolutely nowhere near it. Like, I don't know who it was, and apologies, I'm not like massively clued up on the Portsmouth players yet, so I will get their names eventually, but I don't know who it is. He takes the ball so calmly past him, and then all of a sudden you've got that shift over of the defense, which creates that space for who is it, because I will find his name. Sadie. Sorry, I thought Yengi was playing for Portsmouth, but
he did come on second half.
He did come on, yeah. He seems like a good player, Yengi, but yeah, that completely just throws the whole defense, throws the whole shape, creates that space for Sadie to score. And then, as Matt said, it's a miscommunication on the second one. I think one of those two players, Dieng and Clark, have to take responsibility. They have to be like, okay, I'm the one that's going to deal with this. You leave it alone. And ultimately they don't. They come together and it's a complete calamitous mistake. So I don't think we can like kind of throw a blanket statement over it and be like, okay, the mistakes that we're making are because of X or Y or Z. I think you have to judge them individually, and yeah, it's so annoying.
Yeah, it is annoying. And much, I think, like, in that first half, Boro played into Portsmouth's hands a little bit, because they're a team that are very expansive. They always have been under Mousinho, and it seems like, they like to press very, very well, like to play with good width, really start to try and press for mistakes. A lot of their chances do come from that position, make mistakes away from home. But do you think we played in the hands a little bit in that first half?
I think for a spell we did. We definitely had a period of just absolute chaos where we were absolutely all over the place, and whenever we had the ball, even if it was our midfield two or our back four and they were pressing us, I did just worry that at any point Boro were just going to give the ball away, or a heavy touch was going to get them in. I don't think they had the quality to really hurt us, although a better team might have done. So yeah, I feel like a lot of that first half was just, it was like I think you said to me at halftime, Jonny, actually, it was a bit like a basketball game, which can be quite dangerous. It can benefit Boro at times, but it can also be at detriment to us. And I think it didn't allow us to get a real grip of the game and get real control of it, which we obviously had second half. So it didn't cost us. Maybe it was a period of the game where we could have gotten into it again and leveled it at 2-2, which would have made the second half easier. But we still had plenty of time to get back in the game. So it was a small piece of a very chaotic first half that, really we should have had a bit more of a control over.
100%. And let's move on then. Let's move on, because I want to take you on a journey here, in terms of a footballing journey, a going forward journey, because I want to chat to you about Boro's missing shooting boots. Because, so far this season, we've had 67 shots. We've scored 3 of them, of course. We've got an XG of 7.5, so definitely underperforming there. We're in FotMob, we're the third highest rated team at the moment. We've had 141 shots in the box. That is 35 more than any other team in the championship right now. And we're also third lowest for shot conversion rate. So only Cardiff and Preston have lower. Cardiff currently have a 0% shot conversion rate because they haven't scored a goal yet. And Preston 4.4%, and that what basically means is how many shots convert into goals. So similar pattern to last year, where we were underperforming on the XG for a long time, and people say, "Bloody hell, Jonny, XG again." This data-driven podcast, but I'm telling you why I'm saying it, because it can show that you're either very efficient in front of goal, or you're not very efficient in front of goal. And from the data I've just alluded to, we're not putting chances away. So why do you think that's happening? Anyone? Has anyone got any suggestions at all?
It's decision making. It's exactly what I said earlier. It's our poor decision making. And it's not new, because it was a theme last season as well. So it's a massive shame, actually, that it's still a prominent issue. Because it's like, against Derby in particular as well, we got into some good positions, but it's just like we always opt for the wrong decision, I think. And it was exactly the same today. But as I said, I know, like, I think we're probably leaning towards the not the doom and gloom, but the kind of negative outlook on this. We're frustrated. We don't usually record on the same day as the game, so it might be different Sunday morning when we usually record. But it's nothing new with Boro, and I do think it is the decision making of the players. They get into some really good positions, and credit to them for that, because we're crafting attacks that get us in good areas to create chances to score goals. But it's just that decision making, laying that pass off, putting the ball in. Sometimes the crossing type is a bit off. Do you lay it back? Do you try and get it to the back post? Do you loft it in? Yeah, we often tend to go for the wrong decision, the wrong choice of pass or play for me. So I think personally that's the reason why our conversion rate is so poor. But also I think we have come up against some decent goalkeepers too. I think Vickers was good against Derby. I think Norris was pretty decent as well today. So credit to the goalkeepers as well, I guess.
Do you think, Dana, that with Tommy Conway coming in, of course, first goal today, so congratulations to Tommy, I know you're listening. Moving into the supporters striker role, of course, we've seen with Chubak as well. Do you think that might be better for Boro going forward? Because he is good, he has a good shot placement, obviously good penalty a day, of course. But do you think that it's the position for him to move into that supporter striking role? But secondly, do you think that will help Boro in front of goal in terms of converting chances?
I think it will, because as you said, his shot placement is good, and I think he was averaging, what did I say on the lowdown? It's a goal every 2.5 games for Bristol City. So really good, actually, really good return. I think the supporting striker role is quite interesting. I didn't really mark him down as somebody that could play that role, to be honest. I thought he would be that number 9 or potentially play on the left. But it's good that Carrick has obviously seen that, because I think in the short viewing of him in a Boro shirt, we've seen that he probably has that good technical ability to be able to take the ball, to move it quickly. He came on and he looked like he really wanted to get Boro back into that game. And he played with a really good tempo, I thought, which was probably the most impressive thing. He didn't slow the ball down, didn't take too many touches, which I think is maybe Azaz's undoing. He takes too many, whereas Conway just wanted to lay that ball wide, wanted to lay that ball through to Latelath. And he was probably, he was a lot more kind of potent and incisive with his decision making. So there's one positive within the decision-making narrative there. Battering on about how bad we've been. But Tommy Conway, I think, was good within that. So, yeah, I think there's definitely a place for him to continue there. It'd be interested to see what Carrick does in regards to Azaz versus Conway for probably not the Stoke game midweek, but for the Cardiff game, because that cameo was really impressive from Conway. And of course, he scores a penalty. It's good to know that we've got a very reliable penalty taker there in Tommy Conway, because half of his championship goals last season were scored from the spot. So good cameo. Interested to see how he continues to perform in that withdrawn striker role behind Latelath.
Yeah, and I want to chat about Finn Azaz, if that's okay, because he's been the talk of the town, the talk of online and social media, becoming a bit of a marmite character with some fans. But he did get an assist today for Matt Clark's header. and then obviously giving Tom a fantastic moment, but then his bet still didn't come off because of Vader Morris. Sorry, Tom. But what are your guys' thoughts on the criticism of Finn Azaz? Because seems like he's getting that Marcus Tavernier, Morgan Rogers treatment. Anyone who has any sort of potential gets criticised. So yeah, I'm going to just leave the mic to you two and say what are your thoughts? Do you think that it's a bit harsh?
Yes, I do. There are little criticisms and frustrations to Azaz, which we've mentioned briefly. Sometimes I think he does cut inside too much. Sometimes he does take too many touches. I think he's got such great technique and good shot on him. We've seen some of the goals he scored for Plymouth. So maybe sometimes, just trust yourself, back yourself, have a shot. I think he's always trying to move the ball on and play that perfect pass. And that might just be what's getting coached into him. But then equally, he's such an intelligent footballer. I mean, the spaces he was picking up in that first half especially were absolutely brilliant. And I think he led a ball through to Elath at the end of the first half, which I think he screwed up the 1v1. So I still think we are a worse side without Finn Azaz in there, 100%. And exactly like what you were saying, I would be very interested to see what would happen with Tommy Conway, because I really like him in behind Elath. And I wonder if Azaz could drift across to that left-hand side, because Bergsorg's been coming central a little bit too. So I think maybe a bit like what McGree and Azaz were doing in pre-season as well. There was McGree was on the left, yes, but he was coming inside quite a lot. So Azaz could still, I think, have a very, very good impact on the game, even if it's off the left, and you could then have Conway through the middle as well. So I still think there's I think regardless of what happens with Tommy Conway, I think Finn Azaz definitely has a place in the Spurs team, and he should as well, because he got double last season, didn't he? Double-figure goals, double-figure assists. I think it's because he's always trying to create, a lot of his passes are going to get cut out. A lot of what he's trying to do won't always come off. And I think that's why a lot of people just quickly jump to criticise him. But, he's a trier, and I think it'll do more good than not at Boro in that team.
I like him. I have realised that he's the official polarising figure sponsored by Marcus Tavernier. I mean, he is the type of player, as Matt said, that tries to play that pass through that not a lot of people do. A lot of players probably elect for that safe pass, the sideways pass, maybe recycle possession around the box. Azaz is the type of player to try to snipe that through ball. He created the most chances in the game today with 6. Obviously got an assist. He's a very frustrating one, though, in my opinion, because as I've said, the cutting inside it just delays what could be a really good cross, a really good pass, a really good shot. And I just think it gives the opposition time to be able to try to negate the situation, try to defend the situation, try to get players into better spaces to be able to defend it. So I just wish that he was a little bit quicker in and around the box, because he's got the quality. I think he's got really good technique. He's obviously a very creative player. We saw that at Plymouth last season against Boro, actually, in the away game. So he's got talent. He's just, he's one of those that for every good pass, you'll see pretty much nothing said about it. But for the one pass that's played badly or intercepted, or the one play that he probably should have done better with, you hear loads of groans. I heard it today in the East Stand, loads of groans. But when he plays the good balls through, absolutely not a peep. So yeah, he is the marmite, the divisive player like Tav was.
Yeah, it's that fan perspective of perfection, isn't it? Every pass has to be crisp, every pass has to be perfect, every pass or every shot has to go in. And if you have less than 100% passing accuracy, you are the worst thing in the world. But when I hear the frustrations on Azaz, I definitely hear your point there on the chopping inside, because it can slow things down. You're 100% right on that, and I can see why you'd be frustrated on it. And the other side of it all is, if you would watch, as kind of was saying to you guys earlier, I appreciate not on here, but elsewhere, was that I think if you have any frustrations or reservations of Finn Azaz, you need to watch a game of football and then just solely watch him whilst the game's going on, and appreciate you go to watch the ball and you can watch things happen. That's where most entertainment is. But I feel like when you don't watch the ball, you see a completely different picture of what a game is. And I think that Finn Azaz, if you were to watch him for a full 5-10 minutes, you'll see how well he does in terms of getting in positions. You'll see how well he picks the ball up. You'll see how he gets himself in between the lines. And I thought today, when he was on the pitch, we were playing through him for a long period of time. And when he went off, I actually thought that Boro became quite horseshoey. And it was the last 10 minutes of the game, it was very much of a case of, I remember Ayling getting the ball and he looks up and you've got Jones who's narrow, you've got Elaf, you have Conway, and you have Bergzorg all in the middle of the pitch, just standing back to goal. And it was like, this cries out for someone like a Finn Azaz, or Finn Aziz, who's someone who behind us thinks it is. But someone who can just get on that half turn and thread the ball through. And the same with Barlaser as well. If you want to play Barlaser further forward, he can thread that ball through as well. But for me, I think that he's very, very good at creating opportunities, very, very good at being the step ahead. But I think if you want to appreciate him for what he is, don't watch the ball, watch him for a few moments, and you'll really understand how good he can be and how much he contributes to the team. But I also like the point as well you guys were saying of him being on the left and putting Tommy Conway in the centre. I think that would definitely work. We don't know where Ryan McGree is at the moment in terms of injury. I might have missed it in terms of the news over the last week. I don't know how long that injury is for. I could have felt out Carrick again and not playing again was the rumour. But I think he can play on that left hand side absolutely fine, and I think it's a breeze for Finn Aziz if he's if he was to play on that side. So yeah, I really like him personally. I don't really understand the frustration, all of the frustrations and the groans. But Dan, I don't know if you've got anything else to add to that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think his pros outweigh his cons for me. And it is as well, in regards to the frustrations, sometimes it isn't his fault. Sometimes it's actually his teammates' fault. Maybe they don't make the right run. Maybe their decision in that, or their part to play in that, has kind of undone Finn Azaz's good work. And by good work, I mean the pass. I will always appreciate a player like Azaz because I've watched so many Middlesbrough teams that don't have that type of quality. And by that, I mean somebody that is forward thinking, that plays those risky passes. That's why I love Tav. And I know that I've mentioned Tav quite a lot. I'm not comparing the two as players. I'm more comparing the fact that they were Marmite. How am I doing, boss? Yeah, you're doing great. So I think he is a good player, but he has his frustrations, and I think he will always have his frustrations because he is a risk taker, and sometimes those risks don't pay off. But I appreciate that he tries, and as I said, he created 6 chances in the game today, the most out of any player in both teams. Of course, Portsmouth were not going to be particularly high up in regards to chances created. Their best chance creator was probably us. But yeah, I like Azaz, but I do acknowledge that he's also frustrating. So yeah, a bit of a balanced opinion there. But I don't agree with the notion that he's crap or anything like that. I think come the end of the season, we'll look back and we'll say that I think he's had a pretty decent return.
Yeah, and just before we go to a little break, Matt, just want to ask you one final thing just to round off Portsmouth game in general and probably the season so far. But I did a little poll before we came on air tonight in terms of how Boro fans thought after the game yesterday, and only 8.9% were happy with the overall performance. I can definitely see the frustrations as to why it wouldn't be. And the rest were either meh or really annoyed. But bigger picture, is it as bad as what fans are making out?
No, it isn't. Let's sprinkle a bit of optimism to round off this Pompey section. I've come away from today a lot more optimistic than I did last week against Derby. I mean, you should have seen me. I was the worst person to live with over the last 7 days from that Derby game. Good grief.
Liv let me know about it at half-time. Yeah. Liv let me know.
I was at the end of my tether after that. But I've come out of this game and I think a lot of it is naturally it's reactionary because football fans are incredibly reactionary. I mean, to quote Tom, what was it? Because he called it the BBC Tea's morning instead of for one. I'll credit him with that one. Some of the stuff you get on the morning, like with Hackney and stuff, I mean, it's crazy. I think fans are just so quick to focus on the negative after a defeat, and as you say, it's better with individuals. After a win, it's sort of like, yeah, we've won, okay, but they don't really, maybe applaud the team that much. So the bigger picture is that we are creating a absolute shit ton. And the number of shots we're having, the shot maps, when you look at the shot maps, I mean, it's ridiculous. So I think a lot of the frustration comes from just fans being reactionary. I think a lot of it comes from maybe a little bit of anxiety that history is repeating itself with how we started last season as well, because we know how costly that was. But I said to you guys before I said to you, Jonny, before we started, this time last season, we had nowhere near as much of a settled side, probably nowhere near the quality either. We just secured our first point at home to Huddersfield, scoring our first goal of the season. And after that, we went on and went winless in our next 4. So things are nowhere near as bad. And I'm sure if we go and beat Cardiff, this will be forgotten about completely. We're going through a ridiculously similar and crazy period to what we did last season, but the numbers are brilliant. I'd much rather support a side that are creating this much than creating nothing at all. And defensively, as I say, given the narrative around Carrick's teams, we're not giving up much either. So as long as the numbers stay as is, I'm very confident we'll end in a good position this season. We just need a bit of patience. So there's my bit of optimism there to round it off.
I thought you were going to start quoting. Take that for a minute there, Matt.
I was going to say let's take that one said, but yeah,
They did famously say that. Well, but anyway, I'm going to go and listen to Take That and then go and scream into a room. So it's a bit frustrating. So whilst I go and do that, let's have a quick breather and then we'll go back and do some podcast questions.
I know you probably hate ads, but don't skip this one because we've got some very exciting stuff to talk about. Do you want to be a part of Knee Slide Club? Well, you can be, but why not get your own Knee Slide Club t-shirt as well? Fancy a slightly less creased version of the Shithouse Island tee? Or perhaps you want a Boro Breakdown embroidered hat to keep your head warm during those cold Riverside nights. We've teamed up with Teesside to create our own Boro Breakdown merch range. If you want to support us on the podcast and support a local business, then the link to our merch items are always in the description. Happy shopping and up the Boro Breakdown.
Yes, podcast questions. Every week you get the chance to ask us a podcast question via email, borobreakdown@hotmail.com, join our Telegram chat, or on Twitter where you can find us tweeting absolute nonsense. But guys, first question, it's from Rob, and he asks, have we got the right balance in attack yet? I mean, pretty much what we were just saying there. Who do you think is our first choice in the front line? Bucketmouth, do you want to go first?
Careful.
We probably, in terms of the balance, it's a difficult one because we don't have McGree in the team right now. I think when we have McGree in, we probably do, because all we've known from McGree is for him to come inside and he plays that role really well. I don't think Bergzorg is quite as good in that role, mostly because I don't think he doesn't pass that often, does he? So in terms of creating chances and kind of being a good link player in that number 10 role, doesn't give you the same that McGree does. I think our first choice front line is obviously Emmanuel Atielath, number 9, Finn Azaz, number 10. Right now, because Force is injured, I would put Jones on the right, and then on the left it would be Ronnie McGree. But to be fair, he's injured as well. So I think if everyone's fit, Force would be on the right for me, because Jones is very, very championship. He will give you the good, he'll give you the bad. And I just think with Force, he's just that extra goal threat on that side, more direct. And he's got a good shot on him as well, Marcus Force. So yeah, I think that would be my front four.
Yeah, definitely. And look, Hamilton can even potentially go on the left. He looked a lot better today, getting up to speed as well. In terms of that balance, yeah, I think right now I would probably, if you would for the next game, like a laugh up top, Conway in the middle, Azaz on the left, and then probably Jones on the right for now. But let's move on. Come to you, Matt. Ben has just said Bergzorg, question mark. And also, we've got Super Michael Carrick asking, not actual Michael Carrick, but he is also super. But do you think, imagine if he actually was Michael Carrick on a burner account, but he said, do you think Engel and Bergzorg should play down the left together? So what are your thoughts on Bergzorg, question mark, and also, do you think Engel and Bergzorg should play down the left together?
Well, I think on Bergzorg, I think he is a very raw impact player for me. I think he does suit the sort of game that we had at Leeds, where if you're expecting to maybe defend a bit and hit a team on the counter who are going to leave gaps in behind, then yeah, start him in a game like that. But I think when you're playing a team at the Riverside who are maybe going to defend quite a bit, I just don't think Bergzorg's the right player for that. I think if McGree's fit, he plays. Even if Hamilton's fit, he looked, as you say, looked very comfortable on the left-hand side. You could put Azaz there. You know, options down. We've got options there. You know, so yeah, I just think Bergzorg's decision making. I mean, we've seen the good, we've seen the bad, and I think we've probably seen the ugly from him. Exactly what was sort of promised. The number of shots he had today that were blocked were just infuriating, to be honest. You know, he had a moment in this game where I think he turned two Pompey defenders inside out, and it was an unbelievable bit of skill. And I just knew, even though he had players to his left, players to his right, as soon as he did that bit of skill, I knew he was going to shoot. I just thought, yeah, he's got it in his own head now, tunnel vision. He's going to shoot, and it was blocked. A bit like me on pro clubs. So, yeah, for me, I think he's a better substitute impact player. He's done a decent job while McGree's out, but even without McGree, I think we've got better players there. And as for Engel, it's a conversation. It's a conversation in itself, and I think it is only fair I hand it over to the very man who gave him, I will remind you all, a 5-star rating. Sorry, Johnny.
Sorry, number one Sunny Dieng fan.
Oh, the girls are fighting.
Look, Lukas Engel, we need a chat, don't we? We need a chat. And one, I apologise for giving you a 5-star rating. Was I in the wrong at the time? At the time, I was excited. You know, I was excited. Your Y-Scout numbers are great. Your FOT mob, FBRF, the data look good. You look good on video, and then you're the only player I watched who could do something so fantastic and then something unbelievably shit in the space of 1 minute, and I just don't know what to say anymore. So I'm officially moving my rating down to 3 or 2.5 the silence. So, Luke,
what a drop off that. Ouch.
He's lost the crowd.
The heart is there. You know, I'm feeling it. I still love it a bit, but can't be doing these mistakes, son. You're letting me down. You're letting the podcast down. You're letting my credibility go down the shitter.
Hey, don't swear.
I'm joking. But you know what? It is what it is. I think he's just. I just don't know what it is. That's when I watch sometimes. He can whip a ball in, and I'm just like, that is a fantastic ball. He can switch a play, and I'm like, that is brilliant. He can thread a ball through the lines and go, yes, that's fantastic. And then he'll just mistouch something and go out of play. And I was like, oh, fuck.
I haven't really seen any of those good things that you just mentioned there, apart from the first one. Like, to be fair, after his mistake, I thought he recovered well. He did put some good balls in the box, but he's just like distinctively average, and then he has his bad moments. Like, it's with this new with Neto Borges coming in, it'll be interesting to see whether Lukas Engel takes a place on the bench, because you would think so, because he's just like, he struggled in big spells last season, namely at the start. You can maybe cast that off as him acclimatizing to English football, but on the whole, his Boro career so far, he's just not really impressed. And I said to you on the group chat 2 minutes in, and I'm already sick of Lukas Engel, and I think that kind of says it all.
Play for Broken on the day, let him off. And yeah, obviously new left back coming in. We was trying to look for pronunciations, and apparently it's Borges. So there you go. Borges. So there you go, Boro Universe. That's how you pronounce it in an empire on a Saturday night. So the next question then is from LDGD, and they ask, does Isaiah Jones' pros outweigh his cons? At the moment, I think not. He has a negative impact on a game due to his inability to cross and pass. Isaiah Jones time. Should we chat about it? Who wants to take this question?
Not me. No, I'll go for it.
I was going to say, Jonny, you've got. I think you could even take the question, to be honest. Although I think we've all got opinions.
Look, I was frustrated after the game. You know what, right? Isaiah Jones, he has, on his best day, he is unplayable. Like, again, you cannot tackle him. He's fantastic. There's plenty of chances. It just happens once in a blue moon. And the rest of the time, I'm sat there frustrated that a cross hasn't beat the first man, or it hasn't left the ground, or like there was a chance today, I think, where the ball came up to me, just whipped it just straight at the keeper. Like, it was literally just straight, and like I could see what he was wanting to do, but just now I was like, oh my god, like I'm so frustrated. He's a frustrating footballer that has a lot of talent. He just needs to be better more often, and that's where my line is with Jones at the moment. But I do like him on his best days. He's arguably one of the best players in the championship. But you just don't see it enough. But is what it is. But I don't know what you guys think on that one.
Well, this is the thing. Like, when I was growing up, and we would. I remember when we signed Albert Adoma. I'm not comparing the two, by the way, but in that time, there was always the archetypal championship winger, the inconsistent, the frustrating, on his days unplayable, but you never see that very often. And I feel like Jones is kind of that. And I will say, I feel like we do see his better days more frequently than probably you and I have just mentioned there, Jonny, because he's another polarizing figure, I think, within that Middlesbrough team. He does good stuff. He gets into good positions, but yeah, it's his final ball that's lacking. And we've mentioned it so many times on this pod about his technique and how his relationship to the football. He just doesn't really hit it with conviction. Like, have you ever seen Isaiah Jones hit the ball, be it from a cross or anything else, a pass, with conviction? I don't really think that we have. It's not it doesn't have to be a bad thing, but in the positions that he gets into, it kind of is, because it doesn't end up in Boro having the opportunity that you would probably expect. So yeah, he had a mixed game today. I don't think he was bad. He had a mixed game. He had some good bits, he had some bad bits, but that's just Jones. That's just kind of how I've accepted him to be. And does his pros outweigh his cons? I think I would say that they actually balance each other for me. As frustrating as he is, I think they do balance out.
Yeah, because it's not like a bad player. Like, there's just so many good things. Like, there's so many good things we like, and it's just like it's the bits where you get frustrated by, but then you see the frustrations more often, and it's just like, oh my god.
He's a good player he's a good player that is just as frustrating, and I feel like that's just kind of what we have to settle on, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know.
And then Matt, I don't know if you have anything else to add to it, but I'm going to come to you for the next question.
I just think the big thing he's missing is consistency and maybe a bit of versatility as well. I think he's got one type of cross that when it works really well. But I think I saw him today play. He tried to make that low, sort of that very short low cross. He tried to do it 3 or 4 times in the first half, and it didn't come off once. So I think there's a degree that he can be a bit predictable. And his crosses are all very similar. If he could maybe try and learn to maybe put a bit more whip, a bit more pace on some of his crossing, improve his left foot. I know these are all things where you say, well, if he was better, he probably wouldn't play for Boro. He probably wouldn't be in the Championship if he had all these things, all these attributes. So there is that. But yeah, just a little bit more consistent and maybe try and be a little bit more versatile with how he attacks and how he puts the ball in the box. But he is such a typical Championship winger. He really is.
He links up with teammates really well, though. I will say that. Like, he links up with Dijksteel really well. We probably could have done with more of that today. I think we still saw it, but, you know, the penalty that we won, he was linking up with Dijksteel, or Dijksteel was linking up with him. So if we can work them two together in particular, would be really good. But we don't really have that much of a whip on that side. Like, even Dijksteel doesn't deliver a very good ball at the box, in my opinion. So yeah, maybe it's just acknowledging that and trying to see how you can get the best out of them both and in tandem. And I think that we've seen Dijksteel and Jones work really well together. We saw it against Leeds, for example, like last week or wherever it was. So yeah, I think Jones is somebody that he works well off players, and I think that we can see that with Dijksteel. But yes, the word of the day is frustrating, isn't it? And Jones definitely fits into that narrative too.
And the final question, Max. It's only right to come to the number one fan, Club Sandy Yang. And Tracy asks, is it time for Solbrin in goal?
Tuesday, yeah, 100%. Tuesday, cup game, absolutely. I'm with you. I'm with you, Tracy. Permanently, no. Listen, goalkeepers, when they make errors, it usually results in a goal. It's common. It's the way football is. He could have done better with the first goal. Yeah, it was sort of straight at him. And then the second, to be fair, it's communication, as we say. He would have headed that ball. And without Clark there, he would have cleared it no problem. And we'd have been applauding him saying, brilliant, Senny, that's great, well done. But Clark sort of comes in and wipes him out and gets in his way. So, yeah, maybe Senny shouldn't have been that far off his line, but he committed and he would have got there if it wasn't for Clark. So it is what it is. He's a goalkeeper. It happens. Still more than confident that he's our number one, not only with his shot-stopping ability, but with how he obviously is with the ball as well. So I'm still right behind my man, Senny.
That's good to know. All right, well, let's move on. Let's go to the praising place. Yes, the praising place. The only place like to give praise to a player, coaching staff member. Dana's away shirt from 1995, I believe. The can that Matt just drank from, and the Boro fans. Oh, Pepsi Max. Is that Pepsi?
Not sponsored. Other
Not
soft drinks are available.
But yes, the other drinks are available.
Compliment the coaster instead. There you go. Compliment the coaster.
And the course that Matt designs. Oh, does it design? One he's designed it, and we give out a flavor. Anyway, I'm just rambling at this point. Who's in your present place this week, Dana?
I'm going to go with Hayden Hackney. I thought he was brilliant today. His driving runs into the opposition third were really good. I think maybe could have refined his passing a little bit, but to be honest, I thought that at times his passing was pretty good, just not perfect. And then I want to praise Anthony Dijksteel as well. Actually, I thought Dijksteel had a pretty solid showing today. Good to see him back into the team. Obviously, he's got that opportunity now with the centre half crisis forcing Luke Ayling in at centre back. And I want to praise Matt Clark as well. I'm just going to completely forget the second goal. It just did not happen. He wasn't involved in it. Matt Clark is fantastic. He really, really is. Good to see him get a goal, but it's his defensive responsibilities too. Like, he's such a head it, kick it, hoof it kind of defender. Well, not a hoof it defender actually, because some of his balls out wide are really good. Like, those big switches to Jones are really impressive. Just a really top quality defender. And if he continues at the performance level that he is right now, I think wasn't Tom's player of the season pick Matt Clark? I think he might be bang on the money with that. It's early days, obviously, and it probably won't go to him because it's quite rare that I think it goes to a defender. Obviously, Rav got it last season, but because we had a complete injury crisis. So yeah, I think Matt Clark, fantastic. He's going to probably, it's going to be called, the praise place is going to be called Matt Clark's praising place if he keeps it up.
Well, I'll stick with the Matts. Matt, who's in your praising place?
Matt Clark. Yeah, no, he was awesome today again. There were so many times where he was just in the right place at the right time, got to the ball before a Portsmouth attacker, whether it was heading it out or, winning back possession. Yeah, really unfortunate with the miscommunication. But he's in there again. And I'm going to put Tommy Conway in just because of his cameo. I thought he'd come on, he did really well. taking his penalty. I mean, it's we know he's good at penalties, but in front of the Riverside for the first time late on in a game, a lot of pressure, and the way he stuttered and just sort of put it in the far corner away from the goalkeeper was, really good. Seems like a really good, confident player. So yeah, he'll go in there as well for me.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys. I'd probably go out Matt Clark. This Prism is sponsored by Matt Clark. Elevating excellence, one step at a time. That's my catchphrase for Matt Clark, because he's just so good. But yeah, I think he's in there, and I would probably say Conway. And then maybe if I wanted to put anyone else in, I thought Aidan Morris was really good. I think he's been great for the last few games, so he definitely deserves to be in there. As well. But let's look ahead now, and before we obviously go and do our predictions for Stoke and for Cardiff next weekend, it is time for trivia. I absolutely adore trivia. It's probably one of the favourite parts of the show because it gets people thinking, not just you at home as well. But my question today is, and Denny, you'll like this one. Tunjai, Dana's favourite player, for a long time, played for Boro and then Stoke between 2007 and 2011. But what year was his best goal scoring year in the Premier League? And then secondly, how many did he score in that year? Your timer starts now. And time is up. So hopefully no one cheated in that 30 seconds. If you're driving, if you've got a passenger in your car and they've Googled the answer, then shame on you. But I'm going to go to you first, Dana. So Tunjai played for Boro and then Stoke between 2007 and 2011. But what year was his best goal scoring year in the Premier League? And secondly, how many did he score in that year? And what is your answer?
I don't think he scored a lot for Stoke. I remember when he joined Stoke, actually, I was devastated. I nearly cried. In fact, I probably did. But I've gone with his best goal scoring season was in 2007, 2008, and that he got 8 goals.
Okay. And then for you, Matt, as well?
Yeah, I mean, I don't recall him playing for Stoke at all much, to be honest. I didn't even realise
Wasn't it under Pulis?
2011. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
And I
Pulis,
think by process of elimination, it was either his first season or the season we went down, which was 08-09. So I've gone with 07-08 as well. And I've actually gone for 9 goals. I don't recall he got double digits. Could be wrong though.
Okay, so you are both correct. It was 2007, 2008. And Danny, you're on the money with 8 goals in the Premier League. So you have 100% Googled that answer.
I run the Tunjai fan club, remember, for God's sake. Don't you know that? I'm proper clued up on Tunjai. Got him on Facebook.
Oh, weird flex, but okay. So let's look ahead to Stoke then on Tuesday night. So Carabao Cup, where Boro are at home to Stoke at 7:15 kickoff at the Riverside under the lights. Well, be like kind of lights in the second half. But anyway, what is your predictions, guys? Do we think we're going through and score predictions? I guess so. Matt, do you want to go first? You are going, of course.
I'm a bit on the fence this one because Stoke normally come up here and play like Barcelona for some reason, even though they're absolutely crap until they come up here and then suddenly they rock up and beat us. But I do think we'll win. I think we're a cup team. We're a cup team. We're good in the cups. So I think we'll win. And would it go to penalties if it went past 90 minutes?
Yeah.
Would it? Yeah, I'm gonna say we'll win 6-5 on penalties. I'm gonna go that 1-1 after full time, 6-5 on penners. If that's
6-5 Carlos de Penza. Okay, I'll take that. I'll go over win as well. I think we'll win. We'll win 2-0. Clean sheet for Sol Brennan goal and keep the good times happening. And then Dana, what are you going to predict for the game against Stoke?
Yeah, they've got a decent recent record. Decent recent record. Christ, against us. They haven't lost to us since 2022, which really isn't that long ago. But in the 4 meetings since, 2 draws, 2 wins for Stoke. So yeah, recent upturn in form for them against us. I think we will just about edge it. I think we'll win 2-1.
2-1. So we're all predicting wins and Boro going through to the next round of the Carroll Cup. But then we look ahead to Cardiff as well. Appreciate Cardiff haven't played Swansea yet this week, but they haven't scored a goal yet. They haven't won a game. So that definitely means typical Boro coming to town.
Cardiff 3-0.
So Cardiff 3-0 for Dana.
No, that's not my answer. Don't you write that down? No, I think Boro will get a win here. I mean, Cardiff's recruitment's been really strange because on paper, like individually, the signings are pretty decent, but as a collective, it doesn't seem very joined up thinking. So I reckon they'll continue their sticky start and Boro will register. Oh, let's go for a 3-1 win.
Oh, wow. Okay. Goals galore for Boro for Dana Malt. And then Matt, and just to the listeners and the viewers, you don't have to worry if you are going on that away day because Matt is not going to that game. So I had to get it in, Matt. Sorry. What was the prediction you're going to go for?
I'm not. Yeah, you're right. Thank God. The whole Boro fan base sighs in relief. I was actually going to go with 3-1 Boro as well. Barring the Derby game, which was a freak, we are a very good away side, and Boro love a 3-1 away. Or we did. Hopefully, we still do. So, yeah, 3-1 Boro. And you know what? If we go on international break, 7 points from 4 games, I can rest with that, given we only got 1 point before the last one. Yeah.
Okay, it's not a bad start. Not a bad start. And I'm going to go over 2-0 Boro win, I think. And hopefully, Alej Gilbert will score again. That would be a nice touch if he gets on the pitch. But by the time I've said that, he would probably be on loan somewhere. Knowing my luck in terms of those predictions. But guys, thank you very much for joining me as always. And to the listeners and the viewers, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Boro Breakdown on YouTube and on your podcast provider. Don't forget to share the video as well. That helps us get found. And also don't forget to give us a thumbs up and all that kind of stuff and retweet and do all the social stuff that you need to do. But there is some more shows coming this way. I appreciate there might be a show coming very soon with Borges potentially signing. But for right now, this has been the Boro Breakdown podcast. And that was our Boro Matchday Chatter in a pod. Up the Boro.